Over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to focus on oil painting, and I was fortunate enough to become an official Disney fine artist. But I still consider myself a student. Every painting teaches me something new. If I could sit down with a younger version of myself before I picked up my first oil painting brush, these are the 5 lessons I'd share. This is probably the lesson that will save you the most frustration. When I first started painting, I thought I can just fix my drawing when I start painting. That doesn't happen. Painting is simply drawing with paint. If your drawing isn't solid, no amount of beautiful brushwork or color is going to fix the underlying structure. Today, I spend just as much time thinking about drawing as I do painting. If you want to become a better painter, spend as much time drawing as possible. Separating value from color completely changed the way I paint. When I started, I was trying to make sure the drawing was accurate, while also balancing color, value, and saturation, all at the same time. It was overwhelming. Now I simplify the process. I begin every painting with an underpainting using burnt sienna and raw umber. By removing color from the equation, I can focus entirely on the values. Once the light and dark is working, the painting has a solid foundation. One thing I found encouraging is that many of the artists I admire worked in the same approach. The Renaissance masters, Velázquez, Norman Rockwell, Scott Gustafson, all established strong value structures before fully developing the color phase. For me, it's been a game changer. By solving my values first, most of the difficult decisions are already made before I even think about color. This one sounded much more complicated than it actually is. When I first started, I was terrified about the fat over lean rule. I thought I was going to build my paintings incorrectly and that it would crack years down the road. The fat over lean rule is actually pretty simple. It just means that each new layer of paint should contain a little bit more oil than the layer underneath it. That's it. One easy way to do that is to paint your first layer lean using a small amount of solvent. Then, as you continue building the painting, introduce a little bit more oil or medium into each new layer. Personally, I like to keep it simpler than that. I paint my first layer with a little bit of solvent. After that, I paint in thin layers using Liquin Original as my medium. Liquin is very flexible and helps the paint cure quickly. That workflow has kept me from worrying about fat over lean, so I can focus on what really matters, the painting. This one completely changed the way I paint. When I first started, my colors were scattered all over my palette. Then my painting mentor told me something I'll never forget. Imagine if the keys on a piano moved every time the pianist sat down to play. It's the same concept that changed my thinking. Now I lay out my colors the exact same way every session. Light to dark, warm to cool. My palette became organized and my thinking became organized. I always know where every color is and it frees me up to focus completely on the painting. I wasted more time trying not to waste paint than actually wasting paint. When I started, I mixed the tiniest amount possible because I didn't want to waste expensive paint. The problem was I constantly had to remix. Eventually, I realized that wasting paint is simply part of the learning process. I'd much rather mix too much than spend 10 minutes trying to recreate the same color. Paint is cheaper than frustration. Here's a bonus tip. You don't need all these colors. If you're really concerned with wasting paint, get yourself a set of primary colors, or better yet, just black and white as you learn to use the oil paints. Before I wrap it up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Oil painting, like anything worthwhile in life, takes time to master. There aren't any shortcuts. As important as all these technical lessons are, I think the most important lesson is to enjoy the process. Find joy in the work you're creating. Whether you're painting professionally or simply creating for yourself, I believe the best work happens when it comes from a place of curiosity, excitement, and genuine enjoyment, not pressure. The techniques will come with time, but if you can learn to love the process, you'll never run out of reasons to keep painting. Those are the lessons that completely changed the way I approach oil painting. I still consider myself a student, and honestly, I hope I always do. I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll learn 10 more lessons. I'd love to hear from you. Which lesson resonated with you the most? Or what lesson has had the biggest impact on your own artwork?